Awaken Light Audio. Awaken your mind. Ignite your light.
You against yourself. Master the mind. Win the war within. What if the loudest battle in your life isn't with the world, but with the version of you who keeps holding you back? What if your mind isn't just where thoughts live, but where your future is won or lost? And what if your greatest enemy has always worn your face, whispered in your voice, and lived quietly inside your decisions? Part 1. The battle with no applause. There is a kind of war that no one sees. No parades, no medals, no scars on the skin, but it's real and it's brutal. It happens quietly inside your head, inside your breath, inside the space between I should and I won't. It's a war without sirens, but full of tension. A war where hesitation feels like safety and progress feels like danger. A war between your higher self and your habits, between your calling and your comfort. And the moment you realize this isn't just how life is, but a battle you can actually win, is the moment everything starts to shift, because you're not losing to the world, you're losing to your own programming, and that's fixable. The enemy wears familiar clothing. Let's be honest, most people aren't. Defeated by failure, they're defeated by the fear of trying, by the voice that says, "Don't bother. You always quit. Who do you think you are? If you succeed, you'll lose it anyway." And the most dangerous part, that voice doesn't sound like a villain. It sounds like you, calm, reasonable, logical, except it isn't. It's your untrained mind replaying old scripts. Your emotional muscle memory, not your truth. You're not broken, you're unled. To wait, to avoid mistakes, we learned how to memorize, how to follow, how to please. But no one taught us how to think with intention, how to lead ourselves through fear, how to confront a feeling without collapsing under it. So what happens? We end up reactive, trigger, driven, emotionally exhausted. Not because life is too much, but because the untrained mind is too loud. This is the real work. Fixing your morning routine is helpful. Reading books is valuable. Building habits matters. But until you confront the core war, you'll always build with one hand, while tearing it down with the other. This is about learning to stop being your own saboteur. It's about breaking loyalty to the self that keeps you small. It's about learning to lead the mind, not be led by it. In the next section, we'll walk into the core realization. Self-mastery begins the moment you realize most of your limitations are self-authored. Not because you're weak, but because you're untrained. And from that moment, we'll build step by step, thought by thought, until you're no longer the battlefield. You're the warrior, you're the warrior, you're the leader, you're the win. Part 2. Facing the inner saboteur. There's a version of you that's afraid, not of failure, but of becoming more focused, more visible, more responsible, more powerful. Because power comes with weight. And somewhere along the way, a younger version of you learned it's safer to stay small. That version still lives in you. Not because it hates you, but because it's trying to protect you from embarrassment, disappointment, exposure, rejection, and in doing so, it builds walls around your future and calls it safety. The saboteur has a familiar voice. It doesn't shout, it whispers. Maybe this isn't the right time. You're not as talented as they are. Let's just wait until things calm down. It uses logic to protect fear. It sounds cautious, but it's cowardly. It sounds smart, but it's stale. And worst of all, or not enough. That version of you doesn't trust the present. It only remembers the past, and its favorite weapon is hesitation. You can't outperform your self-image, no matter how disciplined you become. You will always return to what you believe you deserve. If deep down you believe, I'm inconsistent, I mess things up, I'm not the kind of person who finishes things, then even your best effort will be quietly sabotaged, because your identity drives your behavior, not the other way around. And until you update your identity, you'll keep reliving versions of your old self, just in new costumes. Who is driving the ship? Take a breath. Ask yourself, who makes decisions when I'm tired or triggered? Who chooses what I say yes to, my future self or my fearful one? Who do I become under pressure? The version of me that avoids or the one that aligns? You're not weak for having both versions, you're human. But strength comes from awareness, from knowing which part of you is speaking and which part you choose to follow, from sabotage to stewardship. You don't eliminate the saboteur by force. You don't shame it into silence. You lead it. You say, I hear you. I know why you're afraid, but I'm not living by those rules anymore. You lead by building trust with yourself, by keeping small promises, by showing up when it's inconvenient, by doing the thing anyway. That's how you change the dialogue inside, not with noise, but with consistency. From reaction to reclamation, every time you interrupt an old pattern, you become harder to control even by your own history. This is how the war within is won. Not with one grand decision, but with daily, quiet. Choose the version of me that aligns with my future, not my fear, and every time I do, I reclaim my power. Part 3. Training the mind. From chaos to clarity, your mind is a machine, a mirror, a battlefield, a canvas, and if you don't learn to guide it, it will guide you by default, not by design. Most people never realize this. They assume their thoughts are just who they are. They react, they spiral, they obey every passing feeling. They live under the tyranny of their own, untrained thinking. But here's a truth that shifts everything. Your mind is not your identity. It's your instrument. You don't have to silence it. You have to lead it. A mind left untended grows weeds. Imagine a garden left untended endied. What happens? Weeds, overgrowth, chaos. Not because the garden is broken, but because it was never trained to stay in order on its own. Your mind is no different. Leave it alone. And fear grows fast. Insecurity multiplies. Jealousy finds fertile ground. Old memories replay on loop like a broken track. And suddenly, you're living inside a world that looks nothing like your values only, your patterns. But here's the good news: you can cultivate it. Not by force, but with practice. But not easy. Watch your thoughts. Without judgment, without interruption, without excuses. Start asking, is this thought helpful or harmful? Does this voice sound like growth or like fear? Am I thinking from habit or from intention? This level of honesty is uncomfortable, but it's how self-mastery begins. Most people want to change their life, but they don't want to look at the script playing in their own mind. You're not most people. Repetition builds reality. You become what you rehearse. Think a thought often enough, it becomes a belief. Believe it long enough, it becomes identity. Live from that identity, and it shapes your future. So the question is not, is this true? The question is this useful to become who I'm trying to be? And if the answer is no, change it. Gently, repeatedly, relentlessly, waiting to feel like it is a trap. Motivation is emotional, fleeting. Discipline is mechanical, intentional. Build mental systems that don't need to ask permission from your mood. Examples. When I feel overwhelmed, I take 3 deep breaths, then act anyway. When I catch myself judging, I redirect to gratitude. When I wake up tired, I drink water, stretch, and move before thinking. You don't need more inspiration. You need default mental responses trained into your nervous system. That's what creates real change. Not how fired up you feel after a video, but what you do at 6 a.m. when no one's watching. The master you are. Don't wait for your mind to become silent. Don't wait for fear to leave before you move. Don't wait to feel ready. Take action with a messy mind. Lead with a trembling voice. Build with scattered thoughts. Why? Because you are the architect, not the observer, and clarity is not a requirement to begin. It's the reward of continuing. My mind is not my enemy. It is my tool. I train it with repetition, guide it with truth, and lead it with vision. I don't wait for silence. I create alignment. Part 4. The Art of Showing Up. Daily Victory over the Old Self. There's a myth that transformation happens in one life-changing moment, a breakthrough, a spark, a massive epiphany. But that's not how it really works. Real change, lasting change, it's quiet, it's repetitive, it's you choosing to show up for yourself, especially when it's inconvenient, boring, or hard. Brick by brick, not all at once. You don't build a new self in a weekend. You build it the same way a cathedral is built. Brick by brick, routine by routine, choice by choice. You don't always notice the progress. No one claps for the day. You resisted an old habit. No one applauds when you say no to the easy option and yes to the right one. But those moments, they are everything. They are proof that you are becoming someone different. Identity is built through repetition, not revelation. You are not your motivation, you are not your moods. You are what you do consistently and every day. You show up, even in small ways. You're casting a vote for the person you want to become. So ask yourself, did I show up for my goals today? Did I speak like the version of me I admire? Did I move like someone who respects their future? It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up even when you're not. The resistance is the rite of passage, the moment you commit to rising. The old version of you resists. It whispers, let's skip today, you're tired. One day off won't hurt. That voice will always show up. But here's the key. You don't have to agree with your inner voice. You can hear it, thank it, and move anyway. The old self only dies when you stop feeding it, and every day you choose to show up, you starve it. Just a little more. All in is a trap. Always something is the way. You don't need to overhaul your life in a single day. You don't need to go all in. That kind of thinking burns people out. Instead, try this mindset. Even on my worst days, I do something that honors the future me. 5 minutes of movement, 10 pages of reading, 1 deep breath before reacting, drinking water instead of numbing, writing down a thought instead of overthinking it. Each act may seem small, but over time, they stack into a new identity. Showing up is the practice dot, not the result, not the mood, not the performance, just the presence. Just being the kind of person who doesn't ghost their own growth. You will not always feel ready. You will not always feel strong. But if you keep showing up, the version of you that felt weak will watch in awe as you become the one who never quit. I don't wait for perfect conditions. I show up anyway. I don't need to be fearless, just faithful to the future. I'm building one choice. One day, one step at a time. Part 5. Becoming the master of your inner world. The world is loud, full of noise, opinions, demands, distractions, full of things pulling at your attention, poking your insecurities, trying to shape your pace. But the real question is never, what's happening around me? The real question is always, what's happening inside me? Because the real battle, the battle that decides your decisions, your energy, your future, isn't external, it's internal. Emotional chaos is the default. Until you lead, most people don't respond to life. They react. They feel tension gives, they lash out. They feel fear gives, they shut down. They feel sad gives, they spiral. They feel shame gives, they avoid. And they call this being emotional, but really, it's just being untrained. Emotions aren't the problem. Being ruled by them is mastery. Doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you don't drown in what you feel. You let anger pass through you without letting it poison your words. You let sadness sit with you without letting it dictate your value. You let fear show up, but it doesn't get to lead the meeting. Emotional mastery is about separating the feeling from the response. It's about building a pause between stimulus and action, and in that pause, choosing who you want to be, here's what happens without emotional discipline. Emotion hits, you react, you regret, you feel shame, you escape or numb, you repeat. But here's what happens when you step into mastery. Emotion hits, you breathe, you observe it without judgment. You respond from clarity, you feel proud, you reinforce. Self-trust. The first pattern builds chaos, the second builds character. Stillness is the superpower most ignore. We live in a world that celebrates reaction, instant opinions, instant responses, instant decisions. But the strongest people aren't fast to react, they're slow to lose their center. They build an inner world so rooted that chaos doesn't shake them, it sharpens them. Stillness isn't inaction, it's anchoring. It's the moment between the storm and the swing. The breath before the word, the pause before the post. And it's in that space that wisdom lives. Mastery over mind, not perfection. It is presence. Don't chase emotional perfection. Chase emotional presence. You'll still feel, you'll still struggle, you'll still get triggered. But instead of spiraling, you'll be able to choose. And that's when you realize you don't have to control everything. You just need to control how you carry yourself through it. That's where real strength lives, not in being unshakable, but in being unshaken. I do not suppress what I feel. I observe it, I hold it, and I rise. Above it, I lead my emotions. I respond from vision, not impulse. My inner world is mine to master. Part 6, becoming the one you choose to be. You've done the work. You've faced the voices inside. You've chosen to show up, to observe, to redirect, to build brick by brick. And now, a new question appears. Not what do I want to have, but who do I want to be? Not just in success, not just when people are watching, but in the quiet, in the mundane, in the places no one claps for, but that shape everything. Identity is not a discovery, it's a decision. So many people spend their lives trying to find themselves, but here's the truth. You don't find yourself, you build yourself, one conscious choice at a time. Identity isn't fixed, it's fluid, forged in friction. You don't become someone new by waiting for the shift to happen. You become someone new by showing up as them before you feel ready, until reality starts catching up to the decision. This is the hidden key. You don't need permission to step into your next self, you just need commitment. Act like the person you say you are, want to become confident. Don't wait to feel confident. Ask, how would a confident person walk into this room? Then walk like that. Want to be consistent? Ask, what would the consistent version of me do this morning? Then do that. Want to be a finisher? Don't. Wait to trust yourself, act like someone who finishes, and let your actions rewire your belief. You are not faking it. You are training yourself into alignment. The mind learns by evidence, not hype. Every action you take gives your brain a vote. You can tell yourself all day that you're disciplined, but until you show it, your brain won't believe it. So start small, start quiet, start now, give yourself evidence. You don't need to be loud, you just need to be undeniable. You are the outcome of what you tolerate and what you practice. If you tolerate chaos, you will live in it. If you practice presence, you will become calm. If you act in alignment, even when it's hard, you will become the kind of person who trusts their own word, and that is unshakable power, not dependent on praise, not driven by fear, but anchored in self-respect. Final reminder, the war never fully ends, but you learn to win it faster. You will still feel fear, still face resistance, still hear the old voice trying to pull you back. But now, you know you are not your thoughts. You are not your past. You are not your old story. You are the CHOOSER, the builder, the leader of your inner world. And from this moment forward, you no longer wait to become you embody. I am no longer at war with myself. I choose who I am. I lead my mind. I master my presence. I align with who I was born to be. Not someday, but now. This isn't the end of a motivational talk. This is the start of a new agreement between you and yourself. I don't need to be rescued. I don't need permission. I don't need to feel ready. I am ready because I said so. And from here forward, every time the old voice returns, every time you feel like shrinking, avoiding, or retreating, you'll remember this truth. The fight was never against the world. It was you against yourself. And now, you win.
Thank you for spending this moment with Awaken Light Audio. If something today touched your heart or opened your mind, don't keep it to yourself. Share your thoughts in the comments. What spoke to you most? Tell us about your journey, your questions. Send it their way, because light grows when it's shared. Until next time, stay present, stay awakened, and keep becoming who you're meant to be.